and why it's called the Milk Run. And that's a great place to crack your 100K. Godfrey's weather briefings. Godfrey does the weather briefing at 9 o'clock in the morning in the clubhouse, and usually about 10:30, 11 o'clock on the hill. If James is there, sometimes James, if he's doing his weekend warriors, he gives great weather briefings. Those weather briefings can give you a lot. There was the XC camp a few years ago, and by the time we got to the hill, the briefing from Godfrey on the hill changed dramatically from the briefing that was down in the clubhouse. The reason being is because there was this onshore moisture feed that was coming over the mountains, and the cumulus clouds started popping up, and you could see it coming over. And one of the big tips that Godfrey gave, he said, okay, this is going to be an epic day, it's coming, because moisture was coming in and the onshore winds or the easterlies were starting, heaps that decked it, and really good pilots that ended up on the ground. And all of the guys that were coming in the second wave that stuck with the clouds, well, that was the record-breaking day where they had more pilots in a competition, cracked 300Ks than any other competition in the world. So that is a really important part of the briefing, and you get that knowledge because, well, what's Godfrey now? 9,000 hours, and most of that has been XC, and it's obviously his hill, and he knows the weather. So, and you get all these great tips that can really help you through the day to crack or go a little bit further or make the decisions. When you get on top of Manilla then, so you've had that second briefing from Godfrey, and the most common question I've ever been asked is like, when's a good time to go? When's a good time to leave? So when you're in that early stage, you know, you'll see the guns go, Eddie will go first, and Evo, and Evo goes later, but Ivan will go, and there's all the gun pilots, they'll go off quite early. If you're in State of Origin, if you're in a competition, or you've got XC camp, it's a really good idea to use the crowd. Obviously, deciding when to go comes down to the weather situation, but State of Origin, you're going to find that there's probably going to be an inversion because it's a little bit colder during that time of the year. So colder air is, you know, when it sinks into the valleys and you're waiting for a break. And usually that time of the year, you're going to come across at least 2 inversions, potentially 3 inversions. At Manilla, during that time of the year, the first inversion is going to be about 1,400, 1,500 metres. The second inversion happens at about 1,700, 1,800 to 1,900 metres. And then there can be a third in the 2s, 2,000, 2,3, 2,4. So sometimes you've got 3 inversions to get through. So the earlier you get off, the harder it's going to be because you're waiting for that inversion to break. So if the second briefing is about 10:30 and it looks like it's on, there may be pilots starting to go. But chances are they're going to go on either the northeast or the southeast that early, because that is where the sunshine is going to be on that eastern side of the mountain. And you're going to find then, even if you're able to get up, and there's little tips to get off on both of those sides. If you go off the northeast side, the sun's hitting down below, and there's a lovely little trigger point down there that's going to go. Then you feed it back, get over the top of Borah, and then it all starts converging. Now the top of Borah is actually an awesome trigger because it's this beautiful flat mound. And so if you can climb back and get over the top of that, that's when you're going to climb out a lot of the time. On the southeast launch, the best little trigger is just to the left of launch. If you can stay up and there's a little bit of wind in there, you're going to find that. Get in there until you start to find the climb. Do your figure 8, then start doing your circles and come back over the top of Borah that way. The most common one that's going to be used is the majority of pilots are going to wait until the west launch goes. So when everyone's lined up and going, and then you're going, when am I going to go? Well, first of all, you're going to be with your team, or you know, you're going to have an advanced pilot that's going to give you a tip. But maybe you're not, maybe you're by yourself, you're just free flying, and when's a good time for you to go anyway. If there are other pilots that are going,
it'll work, I think.
You know, it's worth your while to use them as markers. You know, if you've got a lot, I mean, if State of Origin is doing 150 and you can get a bunch of pilots that are landing area is, you'll see the guys out there. I usually don't use that unless I know it's going, unless I see an eagle, I see dust, or see other gliders. You know, so that's the thing. If you're on launch and you're able to wait and give it a little bit of time, and you see a bunch of guys out in front, they're starting to climb out, launch and go to it. And the most obvious one is off to the right-hand side of the west side. One of the most common mistakes that I've had with working with teams in State of Origin is us ridge soarers, coastal pilots, will plough straight through a thermal. You're like ridge soaring, and you're so used to ridge soaring, and you go through it, and you go straight through the thermal, you're out the other side, and then they go around. And I'm like, oh, take a turn, take a turn. So, but how do you take a turn when there's a whole bunch of other gliders? So when you go through that thermal and it starts screaming around, what I usually try to do is take the turn, come back around, and usually all of the other guys are coming with their right wingtip, so they've got right away as they come around. But now that I'm in the thermal, I've got some form of right away. But the thing is, you want to stay in it, you may be too close to the cliff, so then it's a matter of trying to take a really flat wing turn and figure eight it, and then come back around, then you come back in with the other gliders until you get enough height to get out. And once you're in it, then they'll come and join you, and then you're in the thermal, and then you've got right of way, and then you start climbing up. So you're over Borah now, you've had these nice little thermals, and now I think this is one of the biggest things to start getting through your head. I mean, that's the second most asked question. When do I know that it's ready, that I'm ready to leave Borah? When am I ready to go? I personally will not leave Borah until I'm at about 1,800 metres minimum. I mean, if I'm going to go on a 1,400, 1,500 metre, and I've done it, but that's because the inversion was there, been doing it for hours, it's not going to break, so screw it, I'm going to see how far I can go. But knowing that the inversion is like 1,500 metres, 1,600 metres, banging my head on the inversion all the way out, and it was just constant low saves, you know, all the way up to Barrow. And eventually the inversion broke and got away. But it was hard work. Every single time you hit the inversion, it's going to be really, really rough. And it's just constant low saves. It's pretty stressful. So that's why now I don't leave until I know that the inversion's broke. So if cloud-based and it's early in the day, it's going to be 1,800, you know, I'll take that. So 1,800 I'll start going, and we'll start going down the ridge, and that's where I'm starting to need the things. But so if we're going to 1,800 metres and that's cloud base, and now you've got a lot of other gliders, obviously you're going to have to go, you know, because that's cloud base, and cloud base will come up over the next hour or so and start rising up to 1,900, up to 2,000. If you get a really nice climb out and you're up to about 2, then it's on, and it is time to go. So then, once you're up to, if you've got a nice climb out of Borah and you're over 2,000 metres, you've timed it well, it's probably a little bit later in the day, it's probably 11:30, 12:30 by then. Sometimes it's really worth your while to wait until that 11:30, 12:30 start. That is going to help you punch through, the inversion start breaking, and then you get some really nice height. Other times it may just trigger and it may start going early, and you'll see the other gliders and they're up and away, and then it's time to go. I think once you get over 2,000 metres over Borah, you're going to have a really good shot at getting away from the ridge. Now on that west side, if it is out of the west-southwest, it's going to drift you down towards Barraba, and as you come over Borah, obviously you've got the flat Borah, and that's where everything starts converging and coming up, and you'll see another little flat section off to the north, and it's like a grass area. That catches the morning sun really, really good. So I've seen heaps of guys will start climbing out, and they'll climb out to about 1,400, 1,500, and they'll leave the thermal because they think, oh, it's given up on them, and they'll go back to the west side. But sometimes it's worth your while to take the chance, and if you've seen it happen, or you've seen an eagle or other gliders, is to drift over that, that patchy grass area. It's a trigger spot. It cops the morning sun, and the thermal that's come off Borah a lot of the time will link into it, and that's the one that's going to punch you through and give you some really nice height. The reason why a lot of guys back off, a lot of pilots back off from that one is like, oh, they think that I'm low and I'm going to fall out of it, so I'll go back to the ridge. Whereas you turn around behind you, all of the guys have got the thermals linked together, and it's a really good climb out. And that hot spot is on that hot spot that's the first one on Borah. It's a nice big circle. It's where everything comes together. And if you're over the ridge and you've climbed out and you've got some really good height, 1800s, I'm not going to love it, but I'm going to go with it because I know the ridge is going to be working. But if I'm over 2000, I'm gangbusters now, and now I'm going to run down the ridge. So running down the ridge now, and once everybody goes, especially on State of Origin, everybody starts going down the ridge. And if they're with you, fantastic, you'll have markers everywhere. So keep an eye on everyone, and the ones out in front of you, let them go out in front, you know, and then when you get down, it's a fair way down before the next one goes again. But the next one down the ridge, you're really going to need, because this is where the decision-making process really starts to come in for Borah. You want to find another climb, obviously, and that's where it gets stressful, especially if you haven't done it before, because you're like looking down the west side, you're looking at the road and going, if I bomb out there, I'm screwed, it's going to take hours. So I think that's the big mindset. Forget about bomb outs. Have your retrieve driver organised, and you've got to forget about that, because I'm going to Warrior Alder Pub, and that's where I'm going to freaking land for the day. And it's that mindset, and all of the others stop thinking about where I'm going to land. Am I too close? You know, am I close enough to the road? At this point, you've got to get in your mindset that you're going and you're going to stay up. So as you're coming down to the Borah Ridge, you're coming to the end. But if you're getting low towards the end of the Borah Ridge, don't leave it, because you're going to end up in the Tarpoli sinkhole. You have to find another climb, and a really, really, really good climb, to make the one of 3 decisions to get over the Tarpoli sinkhole. And this is why so many pilots just get their 15Ks, their 20Ks for so long, because getting around Tarpoli is a pain in the ass. You've got 3 options. If you get a really freaking good climb and you're up to 2,500 meters, maybe above that, you can fly straight up and over Tarpoli, and you know, you're literally 1 thermal then away from Barraba. That is a rare case, because chances are you're going to be in the morning or around that lunchtime, and you know, it may still be inverted, particularly that time of the year. So, and it's an option you can take if you've got it and you go for it. But even getting over the sinkhole starts putting the pressure on a little bit, because you'll sink out in the middle of Tarpoli. The main one that I now take, which you haven't got the map, but hopefully you'll get it, is I try to get as high as I can at the end of Borah Ridge, and I'll take what we call Tarpoli Heights. That's right, that's the farm there, okay, this is the West Lodge. So that's the one that I was talking about. That's the northeast, and that's obviously the hot spot right in front that I was talking about, and that's the one off the southeast. So they're your 3 spots that they come out. So we're talking about this one particular. Oh, and there's the one off to the southwest. That's the one out in the trees coming, and that's a good one when you're beginning, because you can climb back. It's going to give you the time, the thermal in it, and have plenty of height, because it's one of the things that happen when you're starting out. You're starting to circle over Borah and you start panicking about going back. And obviously that's the one out in front, and this is the convergence one. So you're ridge soaring on the west, and this is the one that's down that I'm talking about, that's got this grass area. This one is great, and that's the one that drifts in. It's had the morning sun down on here, I think it's over here, and it goes off. I love that one. And oh, is that, yeah, oh, it's about there, that's the one, yeah. So this is where they join together, and that's the grass area one. So this is it, so you're starting to work down the ridge. So these ones will want to blend together, you know, to go over. Now a lot of pilots, State of Origin, they climb up, they get a really good climb out, and they go over here. And a lot of the guys will sink out, you know, because going over here is quite hard work. You know, because you've had everything on the west and everything's all come up, and then it's all sinking over here. So this is kind of like a pressure area really, especially in the morning, because you've had the sun all the way along the side. So working the ridge down. So you want the height, and obviously this is what you're looking for, to skip all the way down. So if you're making the ridge down to about here and you get a really good climb out, you know that it's on for the day. And now, but this is the decision-making process, because all of this is the Tarpoli sinkhole, and actually goes all the way out to keep it. And it's over here. So everything sinks out here for 2 reasons. The air funnels through here and shears everything apart. But the main reason is this in here, which we've now called affectionately Tarpoli Heights. The cons of going into Tarpoli Heights. There's no roads out. The landing areas are really tight. There's no open paddocks. It's in between the trees. If you go down in there, it sucks. It's a big walk out, and it's a tight landing. It's usually advanced pilots only go in here, but it's good to know. So you can use these ones on the outer rim if you're not sure to go in there, you're not flying with a good pilot. Use the outer rim around here. But going in there, if you go down, I've never gone down there, I almost have, and I cracked myself because I just did not want to go down in there. But you'll see, when you're standing on the west launch, you'll see that this here is the first cloud of the morning. Nearly always there's a cloud that starts firing off over here because Tarpoli Heights, it just goes. It's an amazing trigger. It's got the morning sun on it all morning. All around here heats up, that all gets drawn into it. So if you've got a huge amount of height, if you've got good height here, now we're going to make that left-hand turn and we're going to go over to Tarpoli Heights. So the cons are, if you go down over there, it sucks. You're out and it's going to take hours for your retrieve, drive all the way back around and get you out. But if when you get advanced or, as you come up, your confidence grows, or you're with a team and they're going, come with me, man, it's on, because your advanced pilot knows it's on. You get in there, and if you get a good climb out of Tarpoli Heights, you're one other climb away from Horton Valley and going beyond. So up here, you just keep skipping all the way up and you go straight up to Horton. So it has great reward, because it's a friggin' great morning trigger. And once you're on it, I always know once I'm on that and I'm up to like over 2,000 metres, 2,500 metres, I know I've got Barra in the bag. Okay, so I already know that I'm 30, 40 Ks away. The other option is that so many gliders, you'll see them climb up here and they'll start drifting over this way. This is sinky, this is kind of hard work, I mean, I couldn't even really say that any one of these little hot spots are going to work all the time. It's probably, it's obviously the most common from everyone's track logs. They've dropped over here and they've found one. This is the morning sunshine. Over here can be an amazing trigger in here, because this cops the morning sun, but that gap there, the wind comes through there and shears it all apart. That's why there's nothing in there. Going beyond this ridge here down to there, I'd love to see, if we could break down the track logs, how many people have landed in there because they've gone away or left the ridge here too low. They got gobbled up by the Tarpoli sink heights. Retrieve has to come out and get them. So you've got to make this choice. This is the safer option, and this trigger in here is unreal. This one is unreal on the ridge. Now, if you come over and you've got nice height here, now there's some real big benefits of taking this option. This option, you're going to be right next to the Fossickers Way. If you go to retrieve, you're back on the mountain within 30 minutes and you get another shot at it. So this is the most common one that everyone's going to take, especially in the early days, because you're looking at the highway, but you've got to get that highway thing out of your head, because you're going to fly far. That's what you have to believe. So over here now, you've got these lovely little ridges, right? So all of these start triggering, but you can see they're wanting to take you back into the Tarpoli sinkhole. I usually, if I'm going to go this way, or if I'm forced that way, I'll jump over here, go here, and then I'll go over to there, and right at the top of Keep It, see that flat spot at the top? I've climbed out of there every single time. I don't know whether it's luck or timing.
Walk closer to the projector.
Split rock, yeah.
Split rock?
Come closer to the projector.
I'll come closer. Oh, right. Yeah. Yeah, right.
Halfway.
Yeah, right. Okay. Oh, yeah, right. So in there, and there's all these mountains in there. But if there's a big westerly drift, it's going to take you over there, and that takes you off to Armadale. That's hardcore out that way. But we're wanting to go straight north. So that is all going to the north and going along the ridge towards the Milk Run. Any questions in regards to that? Oh, there we go, Laser Man. There we go.
Middle one. So, Gav, just to clarify,
Yep.
Before you choose your one of three options, it's just before that little creek divides.
Yeah, man.
I think I was a
Yeah, so
university.
you don't cross that ridge. That little...
Did you get that?
That's Annie's farm. If you hear people talking about Annie, that's Annie's farm.
High school, they should be in high school.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, don't come down here like that. That little ridge there, right there, Eddie and I, the cloud came over and was stuck on that ridge for like an hour and 15, talking about it today, and just ridge saw there until the cloud cleared and we broke away. But because we did not want to go down there, it sucks. So yeah, the sinkhole is really right around here. It comes all the way around. So this part is where you want to be high.
To clarify the three options.
Three options is get high, go straight over the top over here. If you've got a nice 2,500,
I'm
jump
bored.
straight over the top. Use a bit of speed bar, and just try and get over the best you can. Climb out here, or even here, start making the trek towards Tarpoli Heights, right? So in here, because that's got the sun, and if you see the clouds going, it's an epic trigger. But as I said, there's big cons with that. You know, that can ruin your day. You go down in there, that's it, you're done for the day, because you walk out and your retrieve has to drive all the way around here, and they come up the Tarpoli Pass, they park here, and you have to walk all the way down these hills to meet them on the road. So it totally sucks, but it is a paragliding highway. Because from here, once you're over Tarpoli, you're straight up along this ridge, and then go straight up, and that puts you on the edge of the Horn. Yeah, well, yeah, I'll open it out and I'll show you once we get past that part. So that is going off to the milk run. So this is where, so you've climbed up, you're waiting for the
just
inversion,
stay with
you've got 1,400 metres. If I get up to here and I'm sitting here and I'm at 1,400 metres, I'm going to turn around and come back. I'm not going to leave the hill. No, not anymore. Made that mistake too many times. Even if I'm at 1,600, I'm looking at it going, I'm looking at the day going, because it's too big a gamble. You're going to leave the hill here 1,600 and get to here.
That'll format
You're
everything.
really putting the pressure on yourself. And if you go down here, it sucks, because the same thing. The driver's got to come all the way around, pick you up.
The button for 10 seconds.
And your day's over. So that's why I'm waiting for my 1,800 cloud-based minimum. If I get a 2,300 climb, I'm on my way. You know, I'm just going to speed bar. I'm going to just try and jump from there to about here, climb one there, get to Tarpoli. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 there, and 5 climbs, and I'm on the Horton, and I'm looking. That's 50 k's, and then I'm going to get into a good time of the day. So yeah, and veering over here obviously has its big benefits. You're easily out. This is a great thermal trigger in here. Yeah, checking your fields to when they're ploughed, that goes over there. Sometimes I've just climbed up, gone straight over here, got nice big climbs, and then gone down that way as well. And I do find it difficult in here. I'm never really fabulously comfortable. You know, unless you've got a bunch of pilots in front of you. You know, I mean, in there is really, really difficult. We can go off in the other directions if there is other directions. If you're going out towards, because this is a bit of a tricky one in here too. If you've got a westerly, you've got a lovely climb out, and it is westerly, and everybody says either go on Halls Creek Church or you're going down the other way. There's two options. Same thing, if I've got a lot of height here, I'll try and make the jump over to here. But this can be really sinky. So a lot of the time, Stephen Noble taught me this one, and it's the one that I take now 60% of the time. I'll climb up here, and if it's a nice westerly, and get a nice climb, and then try and get over to Mt Baldwin. And then get a super climb out from Mt Baldwin. Mt Baldwin would nearly always get you about 2,000 metres, and jump straight over Manilla, or come down to here, and then jump straight over, and then straight to that ridge there. That one nearly always works as well. This is pretty good, but it can put you down. So, you know, you can take the jump and try and work it. This in here, or that's the dump. You'll hear Godfrey say the dump. So that's a Manilla dump. That's another good trigger in there, and there is one around here, but you can end up dead.
How far south of Manilla does the airspace start?
At Atunga. Yeah, so yeah, Atunga's as you drive in. So that Atunga's where you're supposed to land if you go directly south.
Ask Bogdan.
20k.
If you're going out towards Narrabri, Boggabri, southeast launch, first of all, northeast launch, you've got the sunshine here. The advantage of going early on northeast launch, you've got the sun on it all morning. Awesome. Going to get a nice climb out, but chances are the drift is going to take you down towards Keepit. So there's a few ways. Run the ridge down here, jump out there, and then you go around Keepit, and then you've got to go around the airspace to come down. I didn't take the map to go around that because I didn't want to worry about it too much. We'll just concentrate on the milk run. The other one, if you get up here, this in here is a lot of sinkhole. This gobbles a lot of people up. So now you're on the southeast launch, you get a really good climb out. So southeast best trigger is just to the left. You'll see the ridge, climb out. If not, if you have to go down, you're going to get a nice climb out. That there is, and then you drift back, you get over Borah, and then that is an awesome climb. Again, if you get over 2,000 metres, you're up, and then you want to run the edge of this through here, because this just seems to work. It's got more elevation, especially after rain. So many guys, again, are looking at the road. They're going, oh, I want to be close to the road. Got to be close to the road. There is a road here, comes through here, and that's called the T intersection. The crossroads runs through there. But these are the best triggers. So usually in around here, I find a really good climb, and I kind of stick to that till I get out to the Boggabri Gap. And I always take the southern side of the Boggabri Gap, Everyone goes on the northern side and it gobbles a lot of people up. The southern side's got the sun on it. But then let's go to the milk run because there's another, I'm too scared to touch this. Just click on. Any questions in regards to Borah while we're close? Sweet.
Maybe a silly one. There's nothing to do
There's
with
no silly questions.
nothing to do with flying, but do you have to report at Godfrey's? Do you just go there and drive up and take off? What are the house rules of his mountain?
Oh yeah, you usually have to be in touch with Godfrey. Yeah,
Yeah,
you can't
I
just
know.
show up.
Yeah.
No, man. If something happens to you and you're hurt and you're not registered, not there.
He's not always easily found.
No.
Can't fly gay pods in.
No, it's usually he was supposed to have a helper. So yeah, we'll just leave that on there for a second. Now this is where
I'm
all
helping.
the thermals are, and this is where all the hot spots are. So that gives you a good idea of see that Tarpoli run. This is the run. See Tarpoli in here. Look how big it is. It's a really big trigger. And once you get Tarpoli, as I said, you're running now down this ridge here. And this is going to open up because now you're into the Horton Valley. You're onto the edge of it. So there's Capitar there, and this is the Horton. This is how you get through the Horton. You've got two options. What happens? You get Tarpoli, and you usually go on Bar. You get another nice climb here, and then I usually sit here if I'm going to cross the Horton, and I've got to make my choice. Am I going to go this way along that ridge, or am I going to go straight up the Horton and then cross over Rocky Creek?
Where's the middle of the Horton here?
Well, this is all the Horton Valley into here.
What's in it?
Yeah, so that's the Horton Valley, and that's Rocky Creek. That's the pass that you get through Rocky Creek. So, yeah, so usually come up here, and then I'm looking for me. You can see most guys are going to take this climb and go out around that way, but through the Horton Valley, through Rocky Creek is the way that I usually like to take, because if you get on the edge of the Horton, there's this little area in here. You'll see it as like an elevated rock. That's another great trigger. So that's what you're running for. So you get a nice climb. You hang around here till you get a really nice climb, and then drop into the Horton Valley and go straight for that centerpiece there. And then you get a nice climb. There's usually good farming area here. You want to get a really nice climb out, and then you jump through Rocky Creek, and then that's the way to Moree. And once you get to about here, if you're here by about 2 or 3 o'clock, you've got 150k day in the bag. Because by the time you're here, you're out on the farming flatlands, and it is your reward. It's your big day. As you can see, this is why Borah is hard, because once you get to here, if you've made it to here, it's on. You got 100, 150k's in the bag, because now you're on the flatlands. It's just open. That's out towards Weewar. You're late in the day. Cloud base is going to be super high. You're going to have nice drift, and that's where the big K's are. That's your 300k flights. They're all out in this direction. You know, so it's getting around these areas.
Yep. You're focusing a lot on the routes, but just something I'm not sure of people's ability and what they've been taught. But when people are getting like low between, say, ground level and halfway to cloud base, it's important to go to the ground triggers. But when you're like halfway to the clouds and up, you've got to watch what the clouds are doing and follow the clouds. So it's a compromise.
There's also, and on that, you've got to start looking at your day. What was base? Okay, so where is my base? It's going to change through the day. It's going to change through the morning, and it's going to change into the afternoon. So when you found some really good climbs, it's now you've got to start thinking about that. So you get to this point where you're at the top of the climb, now you're going to go and glide. So you've got to enjoy the glide, but then you've got to go, okay, at what point am I going to start looking for my next one? If I'm having a really good day, I'm now thinking, I'm starting really to have a look around by 1,500 metres. I want to be looking now at the terrain. Where is the sun lining it up with the clouds? If I'm down to 1,100 metres, 1,200 metres, I'm now forgetting about my travelling in the direction, and I'm on full thermal hunt. So, you know, I'm looking at, you know, the paddocks you're looking for the ploughed paddocks, the paddocks that have small amount of grass, and you're looking in the downwind corners. You know, so that's what you're looking for. But, you know, by the time I'm 1,100 metres, I'm forgetting about travelling my 100k's and my 150. I'm like, where is my thermal? Because I don't want to go below 1,000, because I know once I get 1,000, the pressure's going to come on more and more and more, and then you're down for your super low saves then when you're down about 400 metres, and you know, you're kicking trees, and then you're trying to dig yourself out. So then when you get the climb, you're back up again, and it's like, oh, thank God I'm in the climb. I'm back out in the same thing. Enjoy the climb for a bit, but now while I'm up, I'm looking at the clouds. I'm going for the clouds, but then the cloud, you can tell by the colour. And it took me a while to get that, but the new cloud that's still going is beautiful and white and clean and fluffy, and the old one starts to deteriorate. It looks a bit old, ragged, and it starts to look, even a bit yellowish. It starts to go off colour. So that's the one you go, oh, it's going to turn into sink, so I don't bother about it. But then, so you're leaping up your clouds, but then after I start dropping down to 1400, then I'm looking for the paddocks, and then below, for me 1100, I'm starting to go full thermal hunt to find.
And when you're at that low level, like 500 feet, or it depends on what the conditions are, forget completely about where you're going, and you've got to get that thermal, and you can cover more ground downwind than upwind. Like if you're getting low and you haven't got a thermal, if you just sit there sitting into the wind, you'll just go all the way down. So then it's forget the route, get that thermal.
Absolutely. All right, so we've taken past Mt Borah. There's Tarpoli, obviously. There's coming out this way, and we're going in towards Barraba. So there's the Barraba Highway. That's out towards the Horton Valley. So you can see over those hills. It's all nice. So a lot of pilots, mostly, start doing their PB. Their first PB is Barraba. And now you're pretty stoked, and you've made the choice. You go, well, screw it. I'm not going to stop at Barraba Pub. I'm going to give it a crack. Okay, so now you've got the highway. The choice is, again, you have to start deciding, am I going to go left or am I going to go right? You can see the majority of the triggers are over the left-hand side. The reason being is because this has got all of the morning sunshine. So most pilots will take that left-hand side of Barraba through those hills and then come over to the top. But this is another pilot gobbling machine. This is Cobbadar. Welcome to Cobbadar. How many people have got 45, 55 Ks as their PB and have done for ages because they got eaten up by Cobbadar? Cobbadar, the ground comes up and you can hardly even see it. When you're going back on the car, you'll see where the road comes up. So not only is the ground coming up to meet you, it just doesn't work for some reason. So you've got to go around Cobbadar. You've got to make the decision. It's like the Tarpoli sinkhole for me. It's the same thing. And this is, I'm always like, I'm apprehensive now with Barraba. I'm looking at the clouds, I'm looking at the terrain. Am I going to go up the right side or am I going to go up the left side? But I want to get around Cobbadar. Going around, obviously that's the road too. So you're so tempted. If you're going to go, same thing, you're going to go over Cobbadar, you want a really good climb out here and you want to try and get over the top of it. And same thing. So everyone you can see is, continuing on with the road, etc. So you've got mountains here, and then they're really good in here. These work, and you've always got the choice. You can drop over into the Horton Valley, but we're going to Warriala. We really want to continue up here. So it's about this choice here that if you have made this left-hand side, because that's got all of the morning sun, because we're talking about our 100 Ks in the milk run, we've gotten over Tarpoli, we've got over Cobbadar. Now we have to make the jump to the west side, because by the time you're here, the sun is now hitting this huge mountain range on the right-hand side. I think, if we just go to the milk, might have been one of those milk runs, I think. Okay, so here we go. So this is just Google Maps. So this is Warriala, this is what we're trying to get to. Okay, so there's Barraba down here. I think I'm right there. So Barraba. So we've come over these hills here, and we're here. Cobbadar's around here. We've used these hills, or you can use these ones. So these are pretty good. Sometimes I've made the whole trek up here, and I found it harder to work through here than going on this side, but have made the flight numerous times using these mountains. But somewhere around here, if you are on this side, no matter what, you're going to have to cross over here. Because by now the sunshine is late in the day or in that afternoon period, and all of this side has got the sunshine on it. So you're going to have to pick. You want a really good climb in here, and you'll see the highway. The highway comes up and it snakes all the way around, and then comes out a bit here. But you're looking for a really good climb into here, and then you're going to make the jump. And then once you're on these mountains, it's happy days. This is a massive trigger in here. This thing goes off because the sunshine all hits there. This is really flat. It's dark. The sun's on it, and you can almost, if the wind's right, you've still got a westerly or a southwesterly component. You can almost ridge saw to Warriali sometimes, but usually you find really good climbs. They've got these little tablelands in here as well. You get a nice little climb out, you get over that tableland here, and boom, she goes up like a gunshot. And over this, you know, and then when I'm here, I always make the choice. I'm going to drop over this way and go up towards Galungra, or I'm going to continue up to Warrialda. But landing about here on the highway, you've got your 100 k's in the bag. So that's the milk run for getting up through the valley. So Cobbadar sucks, you know, and back down here on the ridge. In here is hard work, but possible. And obviously this is a gobbling machine. This just will eat you up in here, so we want to try and get around it, or jump up and come over these hills over here and get around that tub-hole, sinkhole over on these hills to run up. And over here is really good. Usually you'll find something in here and you run up, and then all of a sudden you've got Barraba in the bag. Any questions? Cool.
That was brilliant, Gavin.